Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Michael J.
So, there's a lot of, how would you say, in modern, what would you say?
I would say I activate the zero ability.
Yeah? Would you activate the zero ability maybe next weekend?
Yeah, it is a little wild, the whole, table flip the universe and, literally just let Jace the Mind Sculptor out of the lamp and Bloodbraid Elf and tell everybody, actually, let's just wait a week. But, it is what it is, and I'll be interested to see what the results look like next week, because even though this weekend was ostensibly a lame duck weekend, there were a lot of Jace the Mind Sculptor and Bloodbraid Elf decks that just didn't get to play with Jace the Mind Sculptor or Bloodbraid Elf yet.
You mean, there's you have a new deck with Birds of Paradise and Eldrazi Obligator? How cute! How cute!
Obviously, Bloodbraid Elf slots right into the Jund, and Jace the Mind Sculptor slots right into Blue-White and Jeskai. But, and Blue-White, by the way, it looked like, at least in the SCG, was the most popular archetype on, But, the Eldrazi aggro deck, that red-green Eldrazi aggro deck, is kind of an interesting take. Yeah. And Bloodbraid Elf seems, right up that deck's alley.
Yeah, this deck not only plays 5 mana acceleration creatures in the first turn, but it even has a Mind Stone. You could Mind Stone into third turn Bloodbraid Elf.
That's not the biggest selling point. It's not like Bloodbraid Elf is just, Saito, was all about the Bloodbraid Elf into rampant growth, though. I'm just saying that this particular shade of Eldrazi aggro looks like it was made with 4 Bloodbraid Elves in it, and then last minute, gotta pull the Bloodbraid Elves out.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's also some SCG standard action, hot standard with, more exploration of the first standard in a long time without a Pro Tour.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the standard is probably way more interesting to talk about this week than the modern, which, as we're
gonna have a lot of modern. There's gonna be a lot of modern next week. So
I do not think that we have seen the last, or in fact even the first, of Bloodbraid Elf into my Eldrazi Obligator, because this whole Bloodbraid Elf Eldrazi Obligator and Reality Smasher potentially in the same deck thing seems like peanut butter and chocolate and more peanut butter to me. But
dude, you use that expression so much. I guess they are really good together,
they're really good together. There's chunky, there's smooth, there's milk, there's dark. The variety of ways Bloodbraid Elf could be going into Eldrazi Obligator, there are many. Anyway, let's talk standard. Would you
Todd Stevens, dude? Let's jump straight to Todd Stevens
at the top.
Yeah, hot take on blue-black control. And this is sort of, a what was old is now made new again, in a way. The technology here, he's already, this isn't just a 4 fatal push for Vraska's Contempt list. He went so far as to take the, how people had moved to a space of using the Chupacabra to support the Gearhulks and the Scarab Gods?
Sure.
The Scarab Gods. Todd took the Chupacabras back out and brought Moment of Cravings in instead. So this is 4 Fatal Push, 3 Moment of Craving,
plus
4
1.
Vraska's Contempt.
Don't forget the 4th one.
Another one on the board. And how does he have all this room? It's only a single copy of Censor.
Just one Censor. To go with his 1 treasure map.
And 1 Hieroglyphic Illumination.
I kind of love the 1 treasure map. I do think that the 1 Hieroglyphic Illumination 4 Glimmer of Genius switch is weird, considering this is a Search for Azcanta deck. We previously saw the reverse, lots of Hieroglyphic Illuminations to power up those Search for Azcantas. I think that's kind of weird, but for the most part, I think this deck is pretty interesting, putting together technology from a bunch of different blue-black control decks. Just shout out to Vraska's Contempt, though. You know, when that card came out, I always thought of it as an anti-Hazoret card, anti-mono-red aggro card. But today, and I think maybe you'll agree with this, I just see it as an anti-the Scarab God card, right? Like I just don't want to lose to the Scarab God.
You want to know if I agree with how you see it?
I want to know if my reading of the prioritization of the Scarab God versus Hazoret for a blue-black control deck resonates with your take on those individual card choices.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I try not to have reasons. It does sound pretty sweet, though. Like, I just think that you're going to want to be good against Hazoret and the any copies of the Scarab God that might be roaming around.
Yeah, so this deck is great in the sense that it can be a very, very focused anti-mono red aggro deck. It's got, as you said already, 3 Moment of Cravings in the main deck along with 1 in the sideboard. And just the extra removal is and less of a reliance on permission. But he's still got 3 scatters. You could scatter.
And 4 disallow.
Yeah. But he's got 4 Vraska's Contempt, 3 Moment of Craving, and then he can bring in the 4th Moment of Craving along with 3 Contraband Kingpin for so much, And
a Golden Demise, of course.
Yeah.
Golden Demise is sort of a new take on Infest for giving you an option for sweeping the board.
Yep. I mean, I think probably most of the time it's just an Infest, though. But I think it's probably solid. What do you think about the first appearance of sideboard legendary creature Elder Dinosaur?
This is not the first appearance of Nezahal the Primal. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Optimus Prime has shown up already.
Yeah.
At least in our hearts and minds.
Yeah, I think like I told you, this is the one. This was the Elder Dinosaur that I was gonna.
Well, you wanted to reanimate it.
I like him.
I know you do. I'm saying that as a one-up sideboard card, this is like in that long and proud lineage of stuff like Sphinx of Jar Isle or the Pearl Lake Ancient,
the Pearl Lake Ancient,
or that Sphinx of the Last Word. Like all that action is.
That Sphinx is sweet. I gotta say, Pearl Lake Ancient, man, he qualified me for the Pro Tour. I like that guy.
Congrats, man. Sick brags.
Yeah, that was like 3 years
Dude,
ago.
I love Treasure Map, though.
I love Treasure Map.
Glad to see more Treasure Map action. Particularly, it's so nice when you get that little extra scry 1 from your Kingpins.
Oh, very nice.
Or scry a whole bunch when you flip it, because you get to scry off of each of the treasures.
That's solid.
Nice, right?
Yeah, I like the commit to memories in the main deck and sideboard. We see those quite often in blue-white decks. I like them here. I like a little. He's got 4 Torrential Gearhulks. Like that's really the setup that you want with commit to memory, right?
Of course, yeah. That's the only way to do it. So nothing too crazy, but definitely a slightly different mix. Less sensor action, main deck Treasure Map, flip on the Glimmer of Genius, Moment of Craving, no Chupacabra anywhere. It feels like the Kingpin, Gifted Aetherborn, those just seem to switch back and forth. And Nezahal making a first appearance.
One comment I'd make is, if you're going to play Arguel's Bloodfast, which I think is fine to very good in this archetype, wouldn't you want all 4 Duress? I feel like only 3 Duress is kind of... That was the wrong card to shave, in my opinion.
It is surprising. I would play 4 Duress.
If you're playing an Arguel's Bloodfast sideboard, right? Like that's
No, I don't know anything about that.
No?
I'm saying that regardless of whether I played Arguel's Bloodfast... But yeah, I suppose at the very least, I feel like having the Arguel's Bloodfast in my deck sort of... But the thing is that he's only got 2 negates. So, clearly there's a lot of anti-spell being shaved here. And I don't know, if you're going to shave this many anti-spell cards, so be it. it's a little weird that you're shaving or that you're keeping the Bloodfast. I feel like that would have to be, I don't know, like I would just play like a third negate before I play the Bloodfast, but what do I know?
I mean, he's only got 3 scatter also, and I think scatter is a very, very highly regarded card. He had to make room for Jedi Tracker.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that if you got the 3 scatters in the main deck, it's like less likely that you're going to board the 4th. Like I think scatter is a little bit more of a main deck card right now, but at least in these control decks.
I agree, but that's largely because people just play all 4 scatters in the main deck so often.
So the more interesting control deck, at least from my vantage point, was Aintrazi, 4-color control, and an exotic blend, an exotic brew, as he is wont to do.
Ugh. Man,
he's got to have so much fun. He's got to have so much fun playing in these things. His decks are so sweet.
So you could spend an hour just on this deck, right? So you cannot get any of these cards with. You have to have all these colors. This is crazy. He's a 4-color control deck. He's like, if I said, hey, he's got 3 creatures, would you say Gonti Tetsamok would be?
I mean, Gonti would be, like, if I was going to guess 8 creatures, Gonti would for sure be one of the 8 I guessed. Tetsamok would crack my top 15. So, like, it's surprising that there's not even a single the Scarab God. Like, I don't know. That's weird. Particularly given that it's not like there's no other boom booms. Like, he's got Zakama, Primal Calamity in the sideboard, along with Carnage Tyrant.
Yeah,
that's something.
Yeah, I mean, but he's got 4 colors of controlling, and the color that he shaved was blue. That's kind of...
Yeah, but, like, it isn't even really like he shaved blue, right? Because, like, he's got 2 thematic compasses, 4 Gift of Paradise, 4 Hour of Promise.
Yeah, he could have played an island, is what you're saying.
2 Mastermind's Acquisition.
Could have had an island.
Like, this deck is like, I don't know. He's even got Cascading Cataracts. He's got the blue. I'm just saying that this deck is like, you know, you don't even need the islands. You could just cut the thematic compass.
No way, man. Thematic Compass is the glue that keeps this deck together. Thematic Compass is so
into it.
Good.
No, it's not. Dude, I am not a believer. I do not believe you. Okay, sell me on why you would play Thematic Compass instead of Treasure Map.
Well, they're different. They're very different, obviously.
I know, and he's
Map is a
playing with the compass and not playing the Treasure Map.
So, if against a slow deck, if you can resolve the compass, it's just like your hieroglyphic illumination that you can do every turn. It's really powerful.
It's not a hieroglyphic illumination that you're doing.
It just keeps up with their blue card advantages. It's sweet, and it's. Really
I'm not
powerful.
saying it's not sweet. I'm asking, like, let's suppose our goal was to win.
Yeah.
Walk me through which turn we're activating this.
It depends. You could be activating it as early as turn 3.
That's the plan?
It's not very good against mono red to play this on turn 2 and then activate it on turn 3. You're probably going to lose if that's what's happening against mono red. Like against mono red, I guess you'd much rather like play this like Gift of Paradise, which gains 3 life and then ramps you into your Hour of Promise, and you can play some fatty boom booms. I think like the reason that card is good is it's not really supported by Ollie's deck, unfortunately, right? Like I like Thematic Compass when you play it in decks that have like a lot of Fumigates and Sweltering Suns and even
that's where I was going with this. Is that I think that even when you're the person who plays the compass, you got to be like really in for the icy, or else like what are you doing?
Oh yeah, I agree,
and that's why I'm wondering like why in this deck, why the compass instead of the Treasure Map? Treasure Map looks actively sweet in this deck, and the Compass doesn't even work with any of the cards here.
Oh, yeah, Treasure Map's great in this deck because it's got Arch of Orazca also, right? It's got permanence, extra land, to activate the Arch.
He doesn't even have Mountain, or, there's no Mountain or Plains. This only gets 2 of his colors. He's only got 4 basic land in his whole deck. You're going to run out.
So what you're saying is 1 thematic compass maybe and 1 treasure map would be better than 2 thematic compass? I'm
not saying any thematic compasses at all.
Yeah, he does not have quite the engine that thematic compass can sometimes give you.
Yeah, I think you can safely move away from the compass in this 4 basic land, only touching 2 of your colors, and it's not even even if you had all the right colors and everything, it's just not nearly as efficient as many other cards. They are sweet, though. You can make your battle with the bridge a little cheaper.
Yeah, it's exciting, kind
of. Dude, why is this deck... Why it's there's some... I don't know if you want to bet or something to I'm just not going to play blue. How is blue not one of the better colors to be having in here?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I would say if you're on this plan, you're going to be here's all my gigantic big spells, no blue. How does this deck not play Sunbird's Invocation, Approach of the Second Sun, at least in the sideboard? This deck is just slam one of those things down and then just crush.
He's not really playing red or white. Not really.
No, but can't he set it up with the Hour of Promise on tap, and he's just Gift to Paradise, Hour of Promise, let's go. The big problem with ramp strategies in Standard is that you can't ramp into anything big enough to make it worthwhile.
Except Approach of the Second Sun.
Yeah, and he doesn't have it. And I think
I don't know, man. It's weird to have
the thing that you could get that's good enough. And
I do think Wildest Dreams is a nice get. That's really smart. I think when you got a Mastermind's Acquisition in your main deck, having a Wildest Dreams in your sideboard, that's cool. That's super cool. And I think Zakama Primal Calamity in the sideboard is also real nice. That's nice.
There's
some cool stuff there. That I gotta give to it. I gotta give him that. That's nice.
Yeah, I think that
but man,
acquisition is really freeing up some deck design space that we haven't seen before.
I like the acquisitions in here. Yeah, here's the thing I wonder about though, dude. If I was gonna guess which 2 Planeswalkers he's got a copy of each, is Angrath and Vraska? Is that really the 2?
For sure, I would have guessed Vraska. For sure. Right?
Well, definitely if you know how many colors he is or whatever, but
yeah, I think I would have guessed Nissa before I guess Angrath. But Vraska, I think, makes sense because this deck is
I think Vraska's definitely the first pick.
Yep, it's so narrow on endgame, right? He has all these enablers, Compass, Gift of Paradise, Hour of Promise, Mastermind's Acquisition are all setup cards, right? You need to get somewhere, and Vraska is a very good place to get to because he can set up the game so that you can win very easily, with one move, or defend yourself with the removal option. Or
I think he's just really gonna win a lot of games with just 2 zombies.
Yeah.
I think that
put you to 1 and then 2 zombies, or
no, the 2 zombies from Hour of Promise.
Oh, okay, I see.
I just think the zombies from Hour of Promise is going to be that's going to do a lot of the winning.
How is he going to clear the way for some 2/2s? There's no sweepers.
I don't understand the lack of sweepers anywhere. He's got to get Henny's expertise in the sideboard, I guess.
Yeah, but what if they have big things?
I don't know, man.
So I think that one of the reasons Thematic Compass can be effective is when you're playing against Temur Energy, for example, and they've got Hydra. Right, they're all right, attack with multiple things. You're untap your Hydra, and then they use the energy, and then you get them with a Settle the Records or something. After they spent energy, you just got an extra card out of them or something. That's cool. But this deck doesn't go anywhere, right? It's powerful. It has a huge top end, but it has no catch up cards whatsoever.
Battle at the Bridge, gain 10. Boom.
Yeah, I guess Tetsamok is his sweeper, right?
Tetsamok is his sweeper. That's the primary one.
Yeah.
And plus, honestly, if he can just reliably cast Zakama,
Yes, Sakama is a sweet.
I think Sakama catches up. You just put it down, and then you are doing it. It's like Emrakul.
The only question I have, because this deck, like you said, it looks super fun. It's clearly the most powerful deck in the room in most of the tournaments it's playing in. But like, where do you want it? I don't want to play this deck against aggro. I don't want to play this deck against blue. Neither one. So, who's he beating up on? Black green? Soul Tide?
I don't know. You wouldn't like this list against Mono Red?
I don't think so.
Really?
Why? Like, he's gonna get run over, I think. Like, he's got Fatal Push and Gift of Paradise. Like,
he's got 4 Fatal Push, 4 Vraska's Contempt, 2 Moment of Craving, 4 Gift of Paradise, 2 Battle at the Bridge, 4 Hour of Promise. If this deck isn't good against Mono Red, then I don't know why you would play this deck.
This deck's got 4 Ifnir Deadlands, a Field of Ruin, 4 Desert of the Glorified. It's just the mana is not going to be your friend. They're going to come in and get like 6 free because your lands come into play.
I'm saying that I hope red is your good matchup, because like I definitely wouldn't want to play against like I don't know. I suspect that aggro is supposed to be the good matchups, but I don't know. It's exotic. It's hard to know for sure. This is such a different sort of take on.
Yeah, I guess he's got all those Moment of Cravings and Vraska's Contempts. That really can.
And Gift of Paradise.
Yeah. Okay. I can get behind that, I guess. But I feel like
I wouldn't love it. I wouldn't love it.
Angrath the Flame Chained, huh?
Dude, Angrath's dope, though. No, Angrath is dope. Angrath's dope.
I agree.
Okay, here's the deck a little bit more up your alley. The green-white token deck that Kazu Negri with this is sort of one of those Adorn Pouncer. Sort of on the surface, it's sort of an Adorn Pouncer appeal to authority type of thing, blossoming defense, all that. But it's also, on the one side, it's like tokens with the whole SRAM's expertise, Servo Exhibition, Legion's Landing, that type of jazz. But then on the other side, it's like Jadelight Ranger, Merfolk Branchwalker, and of all things, Adanto Vanguard.
Adanto Vanguard doesn't mess around, man. That guy's in the middle, right down the middle. Got to get out of the way.
Dude, what's up with Jadelight Ranger? You were so right about that card.
Well, in this deck, if you look at this deck, I think that, like you said, there's a couple things going on. One of them is like, here's some creatures, right? It's like 19 creatures. And some of those creatures, for example, Adanto Vanguard is the most important, but Adorn Pouncer is a good example. Like largely offensively calibrated creatures, like these guys, like they do stuff when they're attacking. They've got like double strike, or hard to kill. Let's combine double strike with blossoming defense or some other sort of buffing stuff. That's like one of the whole things about the deck. The other thing about this deck, what I think will knock people, I think, a little bit, off their game plan, is it's so card advantageous. If you look at it, like Pouncer is a built-in card advantage card. Jadelight Ranger, built-in card advantage card. Merfolk Branchwalker, built-in card advantage.
Yeah, but this isn't like anything unusual. Lately, like in the last year and a half, basically every single standard deck is just nothing but 2-for-1s all the way down. The mono red deck is nothing but 2-for-1s, man.
Yeah, I don't think about it that way. I think the mono red deck is like an offensive wonderkind.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that the red deck's got Earthshaker Kenra.
Yeah,
they just build there is an infatuation with grinding.
I'm just imagining, you tap 4 mana, cast SRAM's Expertise, you make your 3 guys, you plop a Jadelight Ranger down and then draw 2 cards. That's a lot for 4 mana and essentially 1 card.
Yeah.
So...
notably, though, I think the SRAM's Expertise Jadelight Ranger interaction is actually really sweet, at least partially, because it helps him get away with... he's got just 15 sources of green. And even with 4 Merfolk Branchwalkers, you're a little lean. It'd be really nice to have a little closer to like 17. But with 3 Sram's Expertise, it's like he's got 18.
Yeah.
You know, like if you draw one of the Sram's Expertises, then you just don't even need to have the green mana.
Yep. Exactly right.
You're slightly off curve, but you know, hopefully you can play something else on turn 3.
What's with all the deserts?
What's up with the 1 Sacred Cat, 1 Sunscorched Champion, 1 Otreka, Ketra the True, 1 Gideon of the Trials? Like, that's the split?
Well, like the Sunscorched Champion isn't really just a 1 because he's got 2 more on the sideboard. I think that's probably coming in maybe against Mono Red, along with the Aethersphere Harvester.
See, the deserts make sense to me. The deserts are the best part.
Because he's got so many little guys, so he can just like over.
Well, that's his only anthem. That's his anthem. I mean, Appeal to Authority is like sideways a little bit, right? And then like Legion's Landing is giving you some benefit from having a bunch of creatures. But like Sheffet Dunes is actually like awesome. And it's great in this deck.
Oh, it's so great in this deck if he has like the Stram's Expertise draw, for example. Like you're like Servo Exposition, and you know,
if you're once you're just playing with all these cantrip dudes, and you get double value from your Pouncer, and it works well with the Exhibition and the Legion's Landing. I mean, it's good with like every part of the deck. And then Hashep Oasis is a lot less good. But in this deck, it's nice to have the option to have an extra land that you can sacrifice to your Sheffet Dunes.
I can see that. Do you think that, especially he's got 24 lands in the main, is this a deck that could have used some Hour of Promise? Like I don't hate going to
No.
Designed by humans for humans, Casper products are cleverly designed to mimic human curves, providing supportive comfort for all kinds of bodies. You spend a third of your life sleeping, so you should be comfortable. The experts at Casper work tirelessly to make quality sleep surface that cradles your natural geometry in all the right places. With over 20,000 reviews and an average of 4.8 stars across Casper, Amazon, and Google, Casper is becoming the internet's favorite mattress. And Casper is so convenient. The prices are affordable because Casper cuts out the middleman and sells directly to consumers like you. Hassle-free returns if you're not completely satisfied. And get this, free shipping and returns in the US and Canada. On top of all that, you can be sure of your purchase of a Casper mattress. This is unbelievable to me. 100-night risk-free sleep-on-it trial. How do they even do that? Intrigued? Top-level podcast listeners, special offer for you guys. You can get $50 toward a select mattress by visiting casper.com/top-level and using promo code TOP-LEVEL at checkout. Terms and conditions do apply. That's casper.com/top-level. Promo code TOP-LEVEL. Check it out.
The problem with Hour of Promise is that, okay, so 5 mana for like 2/4/4 or for 2/2/2s is not even close to good enough. And then you end up with 2 extra land, but who cares? You got like a Sheffet Dunes and a Hashep Oasis or something.
See, I think that the operating mana on the Legion's Landing, for example, might be beneficial because of that.
That's just not... Dude, there's so many Unreal 5s that you could play if you were even in the market for that. He's trying to be lower to the ground. I'm not saying you shouldn't play some 5s. I'm just saying that I don't think Hour of Promise would be the first or second one on my list. Dude, what about the one that makes the Angels, the Angel of Invention?
Well, I could see that.
I'm just saying that if you're in the market for 5s, you can do better than Hour of Promise. I think for Hour of Promise to get you your money, you have to care more about the fixing and the ramping. Ali's deck uses Hour of Promise to great effect. This deck, you could do better.
So if you look at this deck and those ones that you just cited, Sacred Cat, Sunscourge Champion, Oketra the True, maybe not Gideon. Do you think one or more of those cards would have just been better as Thrashing Brontodon? Like it's
definitely. That's exactly what I was thinking. That is exactly. I can't speak to the Sacred Cat because I could imagine that it's possible that for curve considerations that one Sacred Cat actually just lines up right. I don't know. It's a little random, but it might actually. I wouldn't snap in the dark, take the Sacred Cat out without playing a little bit. But I would snap off Thrashing Brontodon in place of the Sunscourge Champion or Oketra the True.
Or both, right? And play 2 or something?
Both.
Yeah, the thing that I was thinking is that if you're going to play Sacred Cat and you're like, all right, I've come to the determination that one Sacred Cat in my main deck is how I want to play it, I'm a little puzzled that you wouldn't play the other 3 or at least some of them in the sideboard. That's actually an excellent card against mono red.
Nah, I don't know, man. It's because Sunscourge Champion is a better sideboard here, and he does have them in the sideboard.
It's so much more mana.
It is.
So much more mana. So much less impact for so much more cost. Like, Sacred Cat just messes with Bomat Courier on curve. Just messes with Earthshaker Kenra on curve.
This deck is powerful enough against red. Like, if you're just playing a fair game, it feels to me like I'd rather have the cat than the Sunscourge Champion. I think you're right. I'm saying I agree with you because I feel like if you just play him on the merits, as long as you don't fall behind, if you're just playing if you play a Branch Walker on 2, a Jade Light Ranger on 3, some token making, you're in a pretty good spot. All you really want is a Sacred Cat. You just want to do something relevant for 1. Although I got to be honest with you, I'm not sure that I could get away from the 4th Legion's Landing.
I might agree with that. The thing that I'm actually really puzzled by is this deck is really, really good at just every single card is really, really good at trading and stalling against the early game cards in mono red. But what does it do about the actual Hazoret? Hazoret's just going to eventually going to get through all those 1/1s from Servo Acquisition and SRAM's expertise, right? Let's see, just draw the 1 Gideon and turn off Hazoret. I'm not sure, you're fine. All right, I'm going to trade with all the 2/1s and 1/1s, and then what?
The sideboard has a Thopter Arrest, a Cast Out, a Nixaland's Binding. I guess that's the plan, ostensibly. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I feel like, maybe you can literally just chump with tokens. It's a little surprising to me, though.
You can't do that forever.
I feel like, I don't know. You can if you have Oketra the True.
Or I guess if you get Legion's Landing online, maybe you can.
Yeah, no, you could. Yeah, I don't know, man. I bet this deck just messes up a mono red deck.
I think that there are...
As long as they don't draw the Hazoret.
Oh, if they don't draw the Hazoret, you're going to smoke them, right?
Dude, maybe it was like a sick metagame call, right? Maybe people were all playing the Phoenix instead. It's not like there were for instance, if you look at the top 8 of this event, only half the decks were Hazoret decks.
That's what I'm saying. Mono red is literally the top performing archetype in Standard, right?
Well, it's not just mono red. Half the time it's mono red, half the time it's Mardu Vehicles. Maybe it's 2/3 mono red, 1/3 Mardu Vehicles. But yeah. Actually, so speaking of mono red, though, which list did you like better out of Zach Bobwitz's mono red top 4 list, with notably 2 Direfleet Daredevil, rounding out some of the discretionary slots, and then just playing with 0 Glorybringer in the main? Or alternatively, top 8 finish from Paul Messeros with 1 Fanatical Firebrand and 1 Glorybringer and 1 PNR and 3 Hazorets, with that as sort of his mix of discretionary slots.
I'm going to go with Zach just because I do not believe that Paul has a 4th Hazoret anywhere. Yeah, he doesn't have the 4th Hazoret in the sideboard. I actually don't love Zach's list on the end details either, but I just per what we were talking about a second ago, so much of this format is hinged on Hazoret. Like, not having the fourth one seems like a real big hole to me in a deck that can't really deal with it directly.
See, there's a couple other things I like about Zach's list too, though. Like, I think 4 Hazorets is mandatory, but
it doesn't have to be main, right? But like having access.
I would play 4 Hazorets main, but whatever.
But it doesn't have to be main.
I don't know, man. This sounds like what if you just don't play 4 Jace the Mind Sculptor in your standard deck? Apologism. But, dude, I think that... No, I don't know, man. Maybe it doesn't need to be main. There's a lot of other sick 4s. Like, between Chandra and Rekindling Phoenix, you could legitimately just have reasons to want to play something else. But that actually brings us to part of the thing I like about Zach's list is the 2 Rekindling Phoenix. I like Rekindling Phoenix still. I know everybody knows about it now, but I think the card's just good.
I agree. I think it's very good. I think that Zach's deck it's like fine. It's not that it's no Glorybringers, it's just not in the main. It's like a couple in the sideboard, 3 in the sideboard.
I like that too. I think Glorybringer is better out of the board at Zach's list.
I think this is a very, very just, pretty solid mono red aggro deck that you could be playing. Not too fancy anywhere. I mean, I guess the Daredevils are a little...
It's not that fancy, though. That is not that fancy.
Yeah, they're fine, right?
It's fine. It's not like any of the 2-drops are going to be that good for you.
I even like the fact that he's got the Scavenger Grounds in the sideboard, probably coming at the same time that he's going to bring in those Glorybringers, right? He's raising the curve, so raise the land count.
Yeah, I like that part.
Yeah, I much prefer Zach's list to Paul's list, all in.
I also dude, maybe I'm a weirdo, but I don't know, man. I'm not sure that I believe in the Invigorated Rampage. I know a lot of people play it, and like Paul Messeros' list has 3 copies in the sideboard. I just don't know that I believe in it, man.
I don't understand the theory behind it. It doesn't seem that effective.
It's because, okay, so picture you're playing against a green-white tokens deck that's just going to block your Hazoret every turn with a 1/1. You just Invigorated Rampage your guy. That's the plan. You're just like, boom. My guy...
Really?
Yeah, you're just like, boom. Hazoret, +2 in trample, and, like somebody else, like the Soulscar Mage. Or Akari Zev, Skyship Raider, I guess.
My experience might be limited in this regard, but every time I've ever played a mono-red deck against like one of these green-white sort of my guys are better than your guys defensively kind of decks, when I win, it's just because I kill all their guys, right? Like, I like establish control with whatever the equivalent of Glorybringer or Grim Lavamancer, or just having a ton of spot removal, and then just winning the game.
Fanatical Firebrand, by the way, definitely not bad in that situation.
No, it's fine.
You might, if you draw it early, you might get a little damage in. The fact that it can you're behind the cards sometimes, but sometimes you can just get a little bit of extra tempo by clearing the way of the chump blockers. I don't know, man. All you're really doing, though, is hoping to draw Hazoret.
Or, I mean, Glorybringer and Aethersphere Harvester are fine. Like, you just can knock down all their guys, right? Or, whatever guys matter, and then, have, one pretty good guy in D or something. But I just think that that's a much more consistently robust plan if you're the deck that has all the instant speed removal and the Glorybringers than trying to trample over a 1/1. That seems like real. Like it's predicated on drawing one of my 3 Hazorets, right?
Right.
So you're saying if I have my really good card that they have, some amount of trouble of dealing with to begin with, I might be able to race them.
Dude, when did 1 become the agreed upon number of walking ballistas for Mardu Vehicles? Just consensus. Just always 1.
Is it always 1?
So both Kirk Rhodes' 7th place Mardu Vehicles and Quint Stevenson's 8th place Mardu Vehicles, both fairly different, very different numbers in different spots among Mardu Vehicle decks. Both of them are just playing a 1-3 split. 1 walking ballista, 3 Hazoret. Boom.
To answer your original question, I don't know when it became consensus. I don't know. I think The thing is, Walking Ballista isn't. It's not the most offensive card, and I think that these decks are pretty offensively calibrated. You've got like Bomat Courier, which is a haste creature, Scrap Heap Scrounger, which can't block, et cetera, like haste guys and
Toolcraft Exemplar.
More power than toughness, generally speaking, right? Like Walking Ballista is not that exciting on an offensive basis, and it's just not the same as the archetype was a year ago.
Walk me through what sort of substances one consumes before deciding to play 3 Unlicensed Disintegration.
I cannot possibly. I don't know. Is it the same? It's like cutting off one of your fingers, right? I don't need this.
I don't know. I feel like Mardu Vehicles is in many ways sort of just this homage to Toolcraft Exemplar and Unlicensed Disintegration in the same deck. And so I don't think I would want to shave either of them.
You just make all these compromises that other people don't have to make in order to get this unbelievable combination of offense in that when it comes out on curve, you just look like a genius. You can't cut 25% of your... It's just the best card in the deck.
I worry this list isn't going to play the Toolcraft Exemplar on 1 quite often enough. I mean, maybe it's okay. It's not the worst. It's just 13 is a little slim.
It's not just even 3 colors, Patrick. Artifact is almost like a 4th color in this deck, right?
That's
white,
not
you've got red and
Spire
black.
of Industry and Aether Hub. It practically makes the mana better.
No. What I mean is Toolcraft Exemplar is white, but it's not exciting unless you have Artifact. Unlicensed Disintegration is black and red, but it's not exciting unless you have Artifact. It's the presence of those cards demanding a 4th entity.
That's true. That's fair, because now that you don't have Thraben Inspector, he's actually. I mean, it is he does have 13 ways to power it up on turn 2, and 13 white sources, but when you're 85% to hit your colors and 85% to hit your artifact, now you're starting to get into a lower amount. And that's not even counting, you have to actually draw the Toolcraft Exemplar also.
But I got to say, every time I get paired against Mardu Vehicles, they come out like lottery winners.
So what did you think of the use of the 2 Inventor's Apprentice in Quint Stevenson's list? 4 Toolcraft Exemplar and 4 Beaumont Courier, but then 2 Inventor's Apprentice for a little bit of extra 1-drop action.
Yeah, I'm always a little confused about that guy. I really like him. I'm oh, that's a pretty good creature. But then when I see him, I'm just never that happy to see him because he's so much worse than
Toolcraft Exemplar?
Yeah, Toolcraft Exemplar at the same spot, provided you could cast either one. Because Adventurer's Apprentice doesn't get turned on unless you have the same conditions that would turn on Toolcraft Exemplar, right? Also, there's small things. Even though Adventurer's Apprentice is pretty good, he's a 2/3 when he's online, that's not big enough to crew a Heart of Kiran by itself.
It's also not nothing that red is a little harder to come by on turn 1. When you've got these Dragon Skull Summits and Canyon Sloths as part of your red, it's actually not trivial.
Yeah, fully agree.
Dude, I know you've always been a big advocate of this card. But in Mardu Vehicles, really, 2 Authority of the Consuls in the sideboard of Mardu Vehicles.
I knew that's where you were going to go. That jumped out to me looking at this deck list. I don't know. I guess it's super good for racing, right? If you're just going to be all right, let's both of us turn all of our guys sideways. If you start their guys sideways and you undo some of their haste and you gain a little bit of extra life, I think I don't know. Here's a question. First of all, Authority of the Councils is so much worse on the draw than it is.
That's not a question.
So, given that, do you play Authority Councils over Toolcraft Exemplar on turn 1 if you have a white? Right? I don't think I would. I think I'd still play the Toolcraft Exemplar probably.
Well, I don't know. If you're playing against mono red, I would play the Authority of the Councils.
That's fair.
Right? Like, they just have so many different shock effects.
That's fair.
Why not just start getting value immediately? Dude, you know what's a slightly more authority of the consoles-oriented list? Paul Green's finalist Black-White Tokens deck. You know, this is that same style with 4 Anointer Priests and 3 Regal Caracal as the only creatures, and then doing an awful lot of hidden stockpiling with maps of all sorts. You know, Renegade maps, treasure maps, and then he's doing the whole Anointed Procession to double up on the token making, whether by Legion's Landing, hidden stockpile, Anointer Priest coming back, Regal Caracal, or even just treasures from stuff like Treasure Map.
Yeah, I like this archetype. I think it's pretty cool that
I like the Arch of Araska in it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I like that a lot too. I just think that, like, you know, the bannings that we recently had in Standard are just kind of opening up the second tier to be a little bit more competitive. And this deck obviously has a lot of potential, like, just offensive synergies going on. Like, Anointed Procession into Regal Caracal could be pretty exciting. You know, I think, like, Fumigate is, like, really, really... It's special in this deck, right? Because
that's I was thinking the same thing.
Like, it's you know, that card's always good, you know, but in a deck that can just lay out its own creatures, but then not care if they die because they were all free, and then, like, gain a bunch of extra life, and then basically zero out the board, and then you're like, all right, I'm just going to rebuild just using my land now or something. Like, that is really something that uses a powerful tool in a way that no other decks in the format are capable of doing. I think it's really cool. And if the format is of a speed that you can get this apparatus set up, you know, I think that's exciting. But I also think it's weird how little Approach of the Second Sun we see at the top. Like, it seems like a deck that would feast on a lot of these guys. Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing. A lot of these decks seem just like there's like a gentleman's agreement not to approach.
Like this deck, for example, he's got Argos Bloodfast in the sideboard, as well as, you know, 3 Duress and 3 Lost Legacy, but he's going to lose game 1 like some overwhelming percentage of the time. And if they decide in a couple of alternate win conditions, those Lost Legacies are probably not going to be enough to win a 3-game set.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. What do you think of start to finish?
Yeah,
it's a little slow, it's a little clunky, but it's kind of nice to have that dimension, right?
Well, it's got, like, a bunch of stuff going for it, right? Like, first of all, it's, like, ready-made for this deck because the colors are black and white, right? So it's, like, this kind of built-in card advantage-ish sort of thing there. 2 1/1s for 3 is not the deal that you want to get, you know, in the abstract, but when you add it on to something where there's a little bit extra card advantage on the back end, then it's just, it's like ready-made for my archetype. And I think, like, maybe just some redundancy on a card advantageous token maker on the front end is, you know, people being for it.
You really think 1 Baffling End, 3 Ixalan's Binding, 2 Start to Finish, 0 Cast Out?
That's not how I would run it. I value Cast Out more than Ixalan's Binding, for example.
Oh, actually, dude, I think Ixalan's Binding is the truth.
I agree. I think Ixalan's Binding is a really good card, but I cycles Cast Out way more than I ever use its exiling abilities.
Dude, Cast Out doesn't even make sense.
I do, like, 80% of the time that card is in my graveyard for 1.
Profane Procession in the sideboard. Love it.
I don't love it.
You would rather main deck it?
Yeah, isn't this the deck you wanted in?
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure you were in the camp of move it to the main deck. I just meant Profane Procession in the 75 is way better than not in the 75.
Like,
it would be even better in the main deck.
Like, I'd even see, like, playing more copies of, like, is it insane to just be like, all right, what if we played 4 Profane Procession against
I think you're going to find some diminishing returns. Dude, nobody wants to be the person who just shows up with 4 Jam Day tomes.
But against Black Blue, you have the time to utilize it.
I know.
It's going to draw a counterspell. If they read it, they'll be like, oh, wait, if this resolves, I'm pretty much cold. Right? So they have to counter it. And so you need another one. There's not really diminishing returns because if you get the first one, you lock them out, and if you don't get the first one, then you want the next one. Like all the next 3, if you draw them, it doesn't matter as long as you have land.
I would not be surprised if half the decks in the format can just never win if you ever draw that card.
Yeah, like it seems unbelievable to be against black blue. You like they have to read it and be like, oh, wait a minute, that's just all my guys.
No, they could possibly already know how doomed they are without having to read it.
Yeah, so 2 is not the number you want, right? Like
I don't know, man. Dude, how about your boy Rivera Israel's blue-red wins deck?
Oh.
Top 16 with a deck after your own heart. This one looks like Saito gave it a kiss from a just the blessing.
Yeah, speaking of special, I'm happy to talk about this one. So obviously, this blue-red deck has got favorable wins. They call it blue-red wins, which is an enchantment that costs 1 and a blue. Creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. So that's like kind of the glue that makes the rest of the deck kind of make sense. He's got everything from like Aethersphere Harvester, which is a flying artifact that's sometimes a creature, to awesome flyers like Glorybringer, Rekindling Phoenix, Warkite Marauder.
I love Warkite Marauder.
Your man,
so underrated.
It's
so underrated.
Like I actually favorable wins into Whirler Virtuoso or Pianalar. I love all of that 2 into 3ing. I think that, like you said, Warkite Marauder is super underrated. I think he has enough land. I think that one of the things that might be kind of whack in this is like, oh, I'm going to play kind of a little bit lower curve blue-red deck and play like 22 land or something. No, sir. Rivera Israel had 24 lands.
Yeah, but he's not really playing that low to the ground. He's got 4 Rekindling Phoenix, 4 Glorybringer, 2 Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Plus, at the 3 spot, it's not like he's short there either with 4 Whirler Virtuoso, 2 Pianalar, 2 Aethersphere Harvester. The only 1s and 2s are Siren Stormtamer and Warkite Marauder beyond, just playing a removal spell or a wins.
So what's the plan here against Hazoret? Like you have to get
race. That's not even the issue. Yeah, I think you win the race against Hazoret sometimes, assuming you're not already losing before that.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't worry about the Hazoret
because there's no direct answer to Hazoret in this.
I don't think you want to. I don't think you want to. I think your answer is that all your guys fly, and that you're ostensibly tempoing out and occasionally chump blocking with like Thopters or whatever.
Well, Wind's Harvester can contain Hazoret, right? Like that's okay.
I mean, the Phoenix alone can contain Hazoret.
Fair enough. But I agree. I think it's just race.
Yeah, it's race.
What about?
Yeah, I don't even mind that. That's not the part that I would mind with this deck.
What about Fling? Fling is a nice one if your plan is race, right?
Dude, Fling with the Rekindling Phoenix is so sick.
Exactly what I was thinking.
I don't think it's against the red deck, though. I think it's more against the people who have exile effects like Vraska's Contempt or the various Ixalan's Binding types.
I mean, you could just like Fling in response to whatever removal, and it just totally messes them up, and then you get like a haste flyer back, and their math is in the trash compactor.
Yeah, dude, I love the Nimble Obstructionists in the sideboard too. I might have a leak when it comes to Nimble Obstructionist stuff.
I think that card is very good.
I think I like it too much.
It's really.
I just want to get them though, man.
So you invented Vendilion Click. Like you're the first person I know to ever invent Vendilion to play in Vendilion Click in a big tournament. This card is like
dude, it's 50% Steve Sadin.
It was your deck.
Yeah, I know. Steve Sadin, lots of brilliant ideas. Anyway, yes, Vendilion Click, dope. Nimble Obstructionist, not as good, but still dope.
Still good.
Still dope. And then I guess the only other thing I wanted to mention here, rounding out sort of the top 16, is more of these sort of soulless Grixis energy decks and Grixis Control, which is basically just blue-black control with a little bit of red removal. I want to know, why is
it soulless? That's like your favorite color combination all time.
Dude, I don't know anything about all that. All I know is that the Grixis Energy deck just has. I just mean that it's all the normal cards. I mean, I guess he's got one Ongroth, but they all should anyway. I want to know, once you're just turning the blue-black control deck into a Grixis control deck anyway, why not play an Ongroth?
I mean,
it's like a Nico Bolas that you can actually cast.
It's not too good for Ali Aintrazi's 2 planeswalkers, right? One of them isn't.
I think Ongroth's actually dope. So picture you're playing as some joker with, like, I don't know, like a thematic compass, right? And you just, instead of being completely slavishly reliant on the Scarab God or Torrential Gearhulk, you can drop Ongroth. And then you just get him.
There's like a big... There's like a gigantic canyon between. You could just drop
no. Question mark.
That's game.
No, you just start.
We got him.
Question mark. Profit. You just make him discard a card every turn.
Yeah, I actually played against one of these jokers with the mana acceleration and gift and hour promise, and he had Ongroth and not Approach of the Second Sun. And I was like, wow, if he had Approach, why would my spit be dead here, right? He's Ongroth me, and I didn't lose. Ongroth is great. In some situations, it's not enough to win the game by itself.
Here's 2 observations from this week's results. First, I love the move away from 10 white source, like Boros aggro.
Here's our mono red deck, splashing for 3 white cards that you play on second turn.
Yeah, I love the move away from that style of Boros towards, I don't know, some random red cards and then mountains. And then second, I suspect if there was Approacher of this format, there would be more than 0 Approach of the Second Sons in the top 16.
Yeah, I think Approach it's the time for approaching the Second Sun. These decks are like you said before, it's just a gentleman's agreement. Like, half these decks, well, not half, because there's so many of these
mono red decks.
Yeah, well, Mardu is actually a bigger problem for Approach decks, I think, than mono red.
Yeah, but what I just mean is that out of the top 16, there's 8 red aggro decks.
Yeah.
Of different sorts. Mono red, Mardu, the blue red, which is only loosely, but it's sort of the same. And even the Grixis Energy deck's not like 0. But anyway.
Yeah. But
you're saying yeah.
Yeah, I think that Mardu in particular is problematic for Approach. I mean, either of those archetypes can be beaten. Like, you draw your correct sideboard cards and you've got, authority on the first turn or something, they're in trouble. But I think that they generally win game 1. And, that's a lot goes with generally winning game 1. But these other decks, like all these Dirtle decks, setup decks, token decks.
Every day with Dirtle.
I have a really good creature that I'm going to play on turn 5. Yeah, those decks they're dead to Approach every single time. Approach is like, wait, so
I'm a little. I don't know that.
6.
I don't think I'm as. I don't think I'm quite as bullish on Approach as you, but I do think that 0 is a little low for the top 16.
Well, I think that I probably have a little bit of a leak around Approach, but I think that other people have just never recognized it as good as it is. Because I do think it's a very good archetype.
Fair. All right, man. Well, I'm going to be interested to see what the next week brings us in the way of mind sculpting and Bloodbraid Elves. But between now and then, share us everywhere if you want. Like all the social media places, the Facebook, Twitters, and Instagram, blah, blah, blah. And Michael J., your Patreon.
Yes, my Patreon, Patrick.
You're like, don't you have like 2 kids who are like literally building us microphones, and like we have to like pay for the like factory that the 2 of them are working in?
Wow, if our Patreon could pay for a factory, we would be in a different world.
I'm sorry.
I'm Dominaria.
Wait, Factory. I meant like ice cream parlor. No?
On that note, we would like to thank Rob Spiller, patron.
Thanks, Rob.
This week. And next week we will probably be thanking Jace the Mind Sculptor and Bloodbraid Elf for an entertaining 8 for 8.
It is implicit. Jace does not need your thanks.
Sorry. All right.
You don't have to apologize either. See you next week. Smoothie.
Life didn't work so great. Tried to play dredge into jail or hate. Ghostly prison waiting for my untapped phase. Your core trapped in amber, stay safe.